Well, one can only imagine. You already know the message of Jesus, even if you don't think so. Grab your Hobbit supper, and let me tell you how. Oh, elvish marshmallows. The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien is a timeless tale of adventure, friendship, and the battle between good and evil. It's considered one of the most influential fantasy stories of all time. But beneath the surface of this epic story lies something deeper. A story so powerful that it reached out of the pages of another book and changed the author's own life. That story is about a man named Jesus, and it's found in the Holy Bible. You've watched the battles, seen the magic, cheered for the heroes. But what if I told you that behind this fantasy is a deeper reality? The first parallel we see is between the influence of the ring on Middle-earth and the influence of sin on our world. The One Ring represents the ultimate temptation for power, influence, and wealth. It's a powerful artifact that can corrupt any who possess it. While it may be enticing, the ring binds you to the will of the evil lord, Sauron. In the end, you'll have none of what the ring promised you. Rather, you'll be confronted with darkness, destruction, and death. The ring robbed Gollum of his dignity. It convinced Boromir to betray his friends and take the ring for himself. And it persuaded Frodo to turn his back on Samwise, isolating himself and nearly succumbing to the evil that was creeping into his life. Even Gandalf and Galadriel, two ancient and very powerful characters, were afraid and wisely refused even to touch the ring because of its controlling influence. Similarly, sin creeps into our lives, offering us power or happiness or fulfillment. But ultimately, those are empty promises. And eventually, we find ourselves alone, desperate, and unsure of how to break free. But despite the powerful influence of the ring, the domineering will of Sauron, good heroes rose up to fight the evil. And it's in the journeys of these heroes that we see the redemptive story of the gospel on full display. From Gandalf to Gollum, the themes are everywhere. And today we will focus on just 3 characters and how they present as Christ figures. A Christ figure is any character that draws parallels to Jesus and display love, self-sacrifice, and compassion. These virtues are displayed by Frodo, Gandalf, and Aragorn, all in different ways. In the beginning of the story, Frodo is living a simple life in the Shire. He has everything he needs: food, a home, friends, and happiness. But when he learns of the evil schemes of Sauron, he's called to give up his comfort and begin a journey that will demand all of his strength and willpower. Frodo's journey and ultimate victory over the ring mirrors the sacrifice of Jesus. Frodo carries the ring just as Christ carried the burden of the cross for all humanity. When Jesus carried the cross, he was dragging more than just a heavy tree. He was struggling under the weight of the world's sin. Similarly, Frodo wasn't simply bearing the weight of a small golden ring. It was the weight of guilt, of shame, and of loss. You know that weight when you know that doing something is wrong, but you give up and do it anyway? Frodo's willingness to bear the burden in the place of people he had never met is a reflection of Christ's selfless act of love for the world. The sacrifice of Frodo gave the free peoples of Middle-earth a chance to restart. Jesus' sacrifice gives us a hope for redemption and the opportunity for a relationship with God. However, Frodo did have help on his journey. Gandalf was probably the most obvious representation of Christ in The Lord of the Rings. He guides others to be the best that they can be, just as Jesus' spirit guides us to grow closer to God. Gandalf is a steady presence in an uncertain journey. Likewise, the Spirit of Jesus comforts us in the sometimes dark world. Gandalf has a plan, and he knows what needs to be done, just like Jesus, who knows and loves you, knows what you must do. Gandalf too sacrifices himself in order this time to give the Fellowship an opportunity to escape.
Blather, you fools!
His death and resurrection echo Christ's own. In the first book, The Fellowship of the Ring, we see him pulled into the abyss with the Balrog, giving the others the chance to complete their quest. But he doesn't stay dead. Spoiler alert. Just as Christ triumphed over death through his resurrection, Gandalf also returns, more powerful than before, and ready to vanquish the enemy. All of Middle-earth is given a chance for salvation, and all of us have been given the very same thanks to the sacrifice of Christ. The third representation is in Aragorn. He is the king who was lost to history, yet we know he is destined to rule. His story, once again, is a mirror of Christ. Christ was born as the King of Kings and came down to redeem his people. Aragorn's journey is one of humility. He doesn't claim his throne until the moment is just right. Just as Jesus humbled himself, leaving heaven and taking the form of an ordinary man to serve humanity and guide us before returning back to heaven. Aragorn has a healing touch, very symbolic of Christ's own healing power. He offered restoration to the blind, to lepers, and to the lame. Poor people broken by this world. We can clearly see Jesus in Aragorn through the humble journey he walked towards the throne. He brought peace and restoration into the world, and Jesus continues to do the same to this very day. At its core, The Lord of the Rings is a story of hope and redemption, which is exactly what the gospel is all about. We all face dark times, and just as Middle-earth had the brave heroes of the Fellowship, Frodo, Gandalf, and Aragorn, we have our own hero in Jesus Christ. He loves us and wants to save us from our temptations and inner darkness. The journey taken in this story speaks to the very heart of the Christian faith, that even in the face of overwhelming fear and darkness, there is always hope and light. There is always a path to redemption. Sometimes it may be a very long one. And there is always a promise of a new dawn. Tolkien said that his story was not an allegory, but he was a devout Christian, and the themes of his novels certainly do reflect the Christian faith, a faith that changed his life and possibly yours too. In a world often filled with darkness and despair, The Lord of the Rings reminds us that in the end, good triumphs over evil. Along this journey through Middle-earth, I hope you could see that the story of Jesus is everywhere, and it's applicable to our lives today. Trust me, there is a lot more that we can unpack in this tale. Have you ever heard of Tolkienologists? Share with us your thoughts and let us know what you think we missed down in the comments. I bet some of you have some hot takes. And of course, if you have any questions about this topic or want to know more about the good news of Jesus, please join our Discord where we have conversations such as this. See you in the next video where we will go to a galaxy far, far away.